where do you start with cyber insurance if you're an SMB? Where do you start if you're an MSP?
Yeah. Um, so let me start with the SMB level, but I guess the first thing I'll say is that, and I mentioned it before, but before 2020, cybersecurity and cyber insurance were their own worlds. They didn't interact. They really didn't. I mean, maybe there were some real minor basic security controls that a carrier was looking for to consider the risk good, but for the most part, you didn't need any of that stuff. So the two worlds didn't really collide. Um, but from the small business owner perspective, or just any business owner, honestly, um, I would say for the insurance space, right? The first thing you're going to want to do is if you think you have a cyber insurance policy, check to see if it's more than one page. Like, let's just start there. And the reason I say that is there are bundle policies out there, right? So if you're a small business owner, you might have what's called a business owner's policy or a BOP policy. And a lot of times they'll add cyber insurance onto that. And that should be the red flag for you. Anytime someone says, "Hey, do you want to add cyber to this?" That's immediately a tack on minimal coverage kind of thing. And the reason that's a problem, I know it can kind of seem like, "Oh, I have cyber coverage, I'm good now." But the reason that's a problem is when you look at the amount lost in the midst of a cyber incident, like when you really get into the numbers, and it's not just averages, right? It's not like, oh, well, the average ransomware attack. It's really the potential for loss, right? Because and you would know this, like the types of cyber attacks out there vary greatly. So you have like the popular one, like ransomware. Oh, a ransomware attack. Okay, my business is down for 14 to 16 days, so I don't have that business income. I'm gonna have to notify people because data was stolen. Like there's a lot of stuff that has to happen. All those things are coverages on a good cyber insurance policy. But a good cyber insurance policy also has additional things like, oh, a threat actor called HR and changed bank payroll information and they weren't checked, and now paychecks went out to this cyber criminal instead of my employees and I lost that money. A good cyber policy is going to help you with something like that. That's called electronic funds transfer or e-theft or things like that. Invoice manipulation, right? Like, oh, a threat actor spoofed my email and sent an invoice over to one of my clients, and they paid it to the bad guy. And now not only am I not getting paid for something, but my client's out $10,000, right? Like it's something like that, coverage for things like that. So it's really important to understand that when you get one of those like tack on policies, it's usually very limited in what it's actually covering. So you want a comprehensive policy, not because all of those coverages are going to kick in during every incident, but because there are so many types of incidents out there that you want to make sure you're covered for the gamut, because all of them are common. There's not one that's more common than the others. There's a particular coverage called dependent network interruption, which basically says, hey, look, if one of your vendors goes down, like you're using a vendor to run your business and that vendor goes down so your business can't operate, there's coverage for that now, right? Like it's this kind of thing where your vendor undergoes a cyber attack and their system's down and now you can't do business. Your business is interrupted because of some third party issue, right? Like that's not something you're going to find on a tack on policy.